is the way of the spiritual warrior, and that's something most people don't understand, because as soon as we hear the word warrior, we put together the idea of fighting, or being aggressive, or being really naval, or getting what you want, putting your dukes up, almost having to work for what you want. But really, the way of the warrior might be that. But the way of the peaceful warrior is to be a warrior from your heart, which means you have, in many ways, to do nothing except to live from your heart. And when you live from your heart, everything from the heart is attracted to you. So what keeps us from living from the heart? Anybody know?
Ego.
Yeah, we could say that. Ego is kind of a big word. What's ego? What is the ego? People have this thing, ego. What is the ego? It's your mind. The qualities of ego is one who discriminates, who judges, who makes opinions. Your ego might be more negative or more positive, but it's still the mind that's leading you. We call it maybe intelligence, intellect, IQ, all of that. But that's not really who you are. That's an aspect of you. But we've been taught for thousands of years, probably 13,000 now, that our minds are us. That's who we are. How much information you can contain, and everything comes from the mind, but it's not true. We lost who we really are thousands of years ago. And that's our true intelligence, comes from our hearts. Now you may say that's kind of strange. It sounds like a poet, or it sounds like a greeting card, or it sounds like she's airy-fairy, just kind of out there. But it really is more true than maybe anything you've ever heard. And once you know it is truth and experience it as truth, your whole life changes. Just like that. Now how can that happen? The heart, it has been found scientifically and medically and verified that there's a 40,000 cell brain in your heart. That sounds kind of crazy. Nobody ever told you that, right? But it's been documented that there is. Another aspect of this truth is that the first thing that forms in your body when the cells divide, because that's how we came, the sperm and the egg comes together. And then how does that sperm and that egg create this body that you're in right now? They create cells. The cells start dividing. But what's the first thing that's created in your body? It's your heart, not your mind. For the heartbeat comes before the brain is even developed. Yes?
I got a question on mind and heart, because often the heart is related to the emotions. And I don't know, the question is what is mind, or how do the emotions figure in? Do they figure in or not? Or
okay, that's a very good question. Let me finish this aspect of the heart and we'll go into that. So out of this heart that's dividing, the cells are dividing, creates the rest of your body. So your base of you is your heart. And from there, in most cases in the Western world, we don't keep developing the intelligence of the heart. We go right to the development of the mind. Reading, becoming analytical, and everything that we learn in our schooling for most of us. So what happens is the mind creates a thought. Let's say the mind says, I am sick. I'm feeling sick. And then an emotion comes from that, I'm feeling sick. Maybe that emotion is fear. Oh no, what am I going to do? I'm getting sick. Ugh, my throat is hurting. How will I go to work? What will I do? Here I am, getting sick again. Will I go to the doctor? And on, whatever your thought patterns are when you get sick. So they create the emotion. And then the emotion creates the action. And then you find yourself in bed being sick. But it started with the thought. Thought came to emotion, and maybe you uttered, I feel like I'm getting sick. So the body answers the call of what you said. And it gets sick. Now let's reverse this. Let's just say that we're starting to feel a bit of raspiness or pain in our throat. Instead of getting fearful and the mind say, I'm getting sick, I feel this, and then I'm going to, and this is going to happen like it happened every time in my life. And then you go all the way back to when you were a child and had to take antibiotics, or your mother or your father, and it goes on and on like that. But we don't go there because we go to the heart, feeling a little this. And the heart is filled with prayer. The heart is a relationship to Creator, to your divine self. And so when this is all to the heart, prayer, visualization, not even bringing the word sick into it, but perhaps the word imbalanced. Because that's all illness is. Earth, air, water, fire, and ether have become imbalanced. That's what's happening on the earth right now. Why do we have earthquakes? They don't just come from nowhere. Why do we have all of those things that Mother Nature has to do? Because our consciousness or our thoughts has created the earth. That's it. And we're imbalanced. The human race is imbalanced. Our bodies are imbalanced. And if we would all take it to here, so let's go back to the personal. You have a rasp here. But you're not afraid. In fact, it's kind of cool in a sense, because you're able to speculate without the emotion of fear, but in actually a more exciting way. And I've done this, and it's really cool. I don't put sick on it. I put this, okay, what's going on? Where am I imbalanced? And the answer will come to you. Not enough water. Or not enough air. Perhaps not enough sleep. Not enough green food. Perhaps the body has gone acidic instead of alkaline. And so you look at it as an investigation rather than attaching that emotion to it. And then you get out of it in such a beautiful way. And it can happen with everything. But if you go up here first, it'll become an emotion. The emotion usually becomes verbal. And then the body answers the call of that which the emotion dictated. It happens all the time. And so, living in the heart is what a peaceful warrior does. A warrior is one who sees straight forward, doesn't get derailed by his or her emotions. It's a very cool way to live. And it's a very compassionate way to live. And it also gives you great amounts of time. Because you're not spending all your time thinking about yourself. Getting well, emotionally up and down like a roller coaster. It's like a samurai or a martial artist. The navel proves to be the center, or that which the heart can build upon. Just a warrior just lives here in their lower centers. They're just like fight, fight, fight. But a spiritual warrior has a strong navel that doesn't get moved and shifted with time and place and people, so they can always live from their hearts. Maybe the greatest spiritual warrior living right now is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He truly is a spiritual warrior. He sees clearly. He moves forward. Nothing takes him left or right, because he has a vision. He has a destination on this planet, and he's not attached to outcome. That's really what enlightenment is. So we might say a spiritual warrior is one who is enlightened, one who sees all, passes judgment to no one, and lives to serve. And that is a spiritual warrior. We're all on that path in some level, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here today. Because most of us live or want to live more and more from our hearts. And that's what's brought you to yoga. Because yoga is breath. And breath is not connected with intellect. Breath is connected with your heart. Breath is connected with destiny that's here, not here. So as we move through what we must do tonight, and that's basically to take us from fear, to take us to the spiritual warrior, which is the heart. Fear comes when someone wants to join the Marines to save their country. I don't know if you have Marines. Do you have Marines in the military? Why would anyone want to join the military? Because the basic military is basically, bottom line, to destroy the enemy. But who's the enemy? And how can we destroy another human being? Unless our lives is based on fear. Then we become the spiritual warrior that wants to destroy nothing. They want to preserve life. They want to bring the dignity and the grace into all people's lives. They want to bring the happiness into all people's lives. And in yoga, that's really the groundwork for it all. I don't think there's anybody who came here tonight who wants to learn how to be more unhappy. Is there? I don't think you paid whatever amount of money you paid to work 2.5 hours to become more miserable, more unhappy, more confused, more emotional, more sick, deeper diseases, more trauma and drama in your lives. No. We all came because it's human nature to want happiness. There's nobody on planet Earth that does not want to be happy. But you look out in the world and you see all the ways people are trying to be happy. It blows your mind, doesn't it? Even making that connection we call happiness in a very twisted, sick way is murdering somebody. Making that connection. We can hardly imagine it. But everybody is longing to belong, to connect. Some of it is just so much not what we can imagine. But through the fear is what motivates them rather than the love. But they still want to make the connection. when you get the good fortune of being as evolved as you are, you would never even think of that as a possibility. You might think of it sometimes, once in a while, but you'll never act upon it. I was observing different things in your beautiful city. I always learn when I travel. And sometimes when you only stay in one location your whole life, you don't have anything to really compare how other people live. And I found some very fun observations that I wanted to share with you, just as an offering of the good fortune that you have living here and here. They may sound funny to you, but in America, I can speak mostly for New York and LA where we live, anybody who's working at a grocery store doesn't get to sit down. They have to stand at the checkout. And I always thought it was so mean and stupid, because a lot of people's feet hurt a lot. And they have 8-hour shifts and they have to stay there and they don't get to sit, and you can almost feel the pain in their feet. Do you ever? Over across the street they get to sit. I mean, why do we have to torture people that work and let them feel comfortable? And I thought that was a great thing that they do here. They sit at that place where I went to buy something right across the street, Rossman's, I think. Another observation I made is I was in a clothing store today, and in LA and New York City, you have to get a ticket to get into the dressing room, and you have to have a ticket with a number of how many pieces of clothing that you take in. You can only go with X amount, usually 4, and there's a lady watching you in case you're going to steal or put them underneath your clothing. And I was in Mango, and I kept waiting. Confessions, they have a lot of white great things there. I kept waiting. I had like 6 things I was going to try on, and I kept waiting for somebody to come up and count them and give me the number, and there was nobody. And I went to look in the dressing rooms, and everyone was just going in and out, and it was so casual. I said, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And there wasn't some lady, how are you doing in there? Do you want anything else? You know, on and on and on. And it was just so freeing. And I came out, and still there was nobody. Do you want this? Do you want that? Like that. I could barely get someone to let me purchase the things I wanted. And I was just so pleasantly surprised, you might say. Another thing that I observe here is how people seemingly, and of course I'm not in everyone's homes, are so nice with their children, so caring, moms and dads, and not seeming to be in such a rush. I may not see it clearly, but I would like to think that perhaps you live slower, more people on bicycles, and perhaps not trying to do so much to prove your worth. And I pray that you don't ever try to keep up that speed as what's in New York City, and perhaps text message less and be less into the virtual reality world and more looking into the eyes of your children and your families and sharing time together. I don't put down technology because, again, it will either make us or break us as a human race. We can use it for the creative force of this universe, or it can destroy us if we stop and forget that there's a real human being behind that text message, that cell phone, and that email. And that we don't forget to eat and share time with each other. I pray that they never just have people eating dinner on, what's that thing we use when we call people long distance? Honey? Skype. That we aren't having dinner with people on Skype, because that would be like too much. And maybe people do it now, but You wouldn't be able to smell the food or talk to that person and touch that person. And without touching and actually smelling people, scenting people, and having real smiles and real eyes with each other, we lose the sense of humanity. And so pay attention to your lives. Pay attention to how much you're living in the virtual world and how much you're living in the world right with a real human being and a heartbeat right across from you. And I know most of us engage in both, but make sure that you have a balance between the two and that you're not just getting out there, but you're also in here and you're really real. And I think that's another quality that brings about a spiritual warrior. We have to be strong, have to be naval, mind has to be quick, but not caught in the mind. We have 5 things and then we'll begin. 5 laws or sutras that were given to us for the Aquarian age that we're going into in 2012. Recognize the other person as you. You understand what that means? Recognize the other person as you. That person in front of you. Start now, and the pressure will be off. Sometimes we can't get started, we dream, but we never actually do it, and we just die with a lot of dreams in our head, but we never did any of them. You'll walk into your kitchen, it's been a big party, nobody helped to clean up, and you've got this big mess. Or if you have children, they're off to school, the house is a big mess, and you just want to sit and go, oh no, I can't. But if you pick up one thing and put it away, and then one thing and put it away, or wash one dish, or you have to pack a suitcase for a long trip, just pick up one thing and fold it, or you have to finish a paper, an assignment, work, just start one thing, and then the next will follow. So start now, and the pressure will be off. The third is there's a way through every block, and that's the truth. Through everything that you think is impossible can become possible. Vibrate the Creator, or whatever you call the Creator to be. Like stand in the middle of that creation or that vibration, and that will lead you forward. And again, that's not the mind. The mind can stop you, block you, discourage you, and stop you. But Spirit can move you forward. That's 4. The 5th one is, I always forget one of them. It'll come to me halfway through the class. It's such a funny thing, it's not always the same one. Must be my block, huh? It's, Yogi Bhajan gave them to us, and they're pretty powerful. And if you get lost, they're wonderful. They're on our website. To just go back to them, and it's a point of reference to where you're at, and then you just find, where is it? It's almost like the imbalance of earth, air, water, fire, and ether. Once you can find where the imbalance is, and you go into that, then you're balanced again. So let us start our journey. We're going to start first with doing some really good work on the kidneys, because the kidneys is that first chakra, and it's where it holds your fear. That's why most people with a spine get lower back problems. Isn't that true? Lower back. At least in America, more and more people have surgery now. They have the lower back bulging discs, and they have to get the vertebrae fused and all kinds of things because of the lower back. And the lower back is where the kidneys are. And when you get clutched in fear, often the lower back just goes out. And that's where your kidneys are. And you get tired and you don't have much energy. because your lower back and on and on. Right above the kidneys are your adrenals. Your adrenals are what give you energy. But their next door neighbor is the kidneys. Kidneys are afraid. And they affect the adrenals. And they finally make the adrenals tired as the kidneys are afraid. So we're going to start moving the energy through them and letting it flow.